big part of my decision of coming back to Detroit. He is a guy that anybody would want to play for. Him being a DC, I'm pretty sure every guy here is going to buy into what he wants, and he's, like I say, super passionate about what he does. He loves the game, and why not want to go play for a coach like that? And he has those characteristics of Dan. We see how Dan is on the field and the way he loves the players, and he can put his player hat on when he wants to, when he needs to, especially. And I think that Shep does the same thing. And I'm just surrounded by a good group of coaches, great group of guys, and there's no way I would want that anywhere else. So.
How you doing physically, one, and number two? Where do you see the next progression of your game? Where do you want to grow?
I'm good. Physically, I'm good. My knee's good. I finally get to, after this free agency thing, I get to kind of, take a deep breath and go out to Tampa and start training. As far as my game, I mean, we seen a little glance of what I was becoming, and for 3 weeks. And I just think there's a lot more to come. Knowledge of the game, even physically, I feel like I'm taking a step with that also. And kind of just playing a little bit more of a leadership role. I'm kind of older now, going to year 5. It's crazy to think about, young guys coming around. You have, young DBs and young players that's coming around to kind of help and guide them, because I know what it's like to come in and kind of feel like you don't know what's going on and kind of you get your feet wet a little bit. But no, I would definitely say just the key things, just leadership and being the best player I can be, and doing the thing that my coaches need me to do in order for us to get where we want to go. So.
How important is it, especially with Shep taking over, just to have Alex back at the wheel, Jack at the mic, and you at the Sam, kind of that bridge, that linebacker part, that bridge there? How important is that kind of moving forward to have that aspect back?
It's like that makes me super excited. I mean, we all seen what the 3 of us on the field could do and what it looks like. And I'm just super excited to have that again. No, we had something great going before, obviously, all the injuries and stuff like that. And no, it's just amazing to see the kind of the pieces and the bits of what Shep has, ready for us when it comes to us 3. He thinks highly of us, and the fact that we've been around him for multiple years, it's kind of like, we can go to him and be like, hey, I think this will work, or we're not feeling this, and he opens that up to us. So, that's what makes me excited, that we can go to our coach and kind of give him ideas of what we think, and continue that leadership with all 3 of us, because we are starting to become an older bunch now, which is great. Obviously, got a few young players, but the fact that we are starting to become veterans, it for sure helps our defense and our team. So.
You're the latest of that first draft class under Holmes and Campbell to get an extension. I mean, you talk about what's been built here. I mean, you were on the foundation of that. How much pride do you take in that group, being the latest?
Oh, man. It's really, it's amazing to see how much Dan and Brad and them care about us. I know Brad mentions all the time, he really believes in his draft class and believe how he drafts and the guys he brings in. Like, every guy that ever came in here, we're all just driven the same way. And I take pride that, they look at me as one of those type of guys, a guy that wants to come here and work and win and put his head down, whether it's good or bad, and continue to work. So I take a lot of pride in that, for sure.
But do you feel like you were playing the best ball of your career last season, and what allowed you to kind of take that leap in the first 3 games?
I would just say putting everything together, putting all the pieces together, physically, mentally, and more comfortable. Like, the game just really slowed down for me, and it felt good to be out there, not super nervous, not worried about mistakes, and just going out there and playing ball. I feel like my best football is yet to come. I feel like even if I'd have played through this whole season, that this year coming up, it would have been another step of progress. But I'm just super excited, and I think that's another reason why they love me here, is because just the steps I've taken every year, and I'll continue to do that. So.
Derek Barnes' contract details. Free agency tampering period starting today at noon o'clock. That and Zadarius Smith's contract. That and let's talk about some of these free agent contracts that we just signed with Derek Barnes. Let's talk about that. Zadarius Smith releasing why they did that. We're going to talk about that and more on this episode of Lion Villain Report. Stay tuned.
Hey, yo, the lies so that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, Kansas open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes win. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose, move on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we winning it maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision and pay me, it's never the sway me. Indigenous, maybe we winning this crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity.
Yeah. Welcome one, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lion Villain Report. I'm your host, Russell Wayne. I'm going to be with you for the next hour talking some of this football, talking some of this free agency period right here and right now. We're broadcasting live today into the Lion Villain Squad Facebook page, along with the Lion Villain Squad YouTube page, along with Detroit Lions News Podcast on their Facebook page. We're on Roku, on the NFL, the Huddle Sports Network. Yes, we are there. We're the undrafted free agent of sports podcasting. That's what we do right here. We're the Tom Kennedy of sports podcasting. It's the off season. It's the Villain Report. Faith, family, and then football. In that order. We use football. We don't let football use us. We use football to create memories. We don't let football use us. And we're on our way to 60,000. Thanks for everybody that acknowledges the villain and what we're going to be doing here today. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. It's the Lions free agency. Oh, gosh. Good morning to you, Rick. What's going on, buddy? Not as many people interested today, probably because my show sucks. And here we are in the off season. And I wanted to talk about a couple of the things. One being these contracts. And we always seem to freak out about contracts and what they look like. And we talked about this the other day when it comes with Derek Barnes. And you see this giant, 3-year, oh my God, 3 years, 25 million. It's so crazy. And the thing is like all of these contracts, the only thing that we really need to look at is guaranteed money. And it was something that I talked about the other day. And what is it really? That's what you really want to know. Is like, what is the contract really? What are we really going to be doing right here? So let's look at it. And why am I not getting that? Why am I not getting that? All right, let's try again. Stop it and then go. Let's try it again. Derek Barnes contract. Let's see if we're on there now. There we go. All right. Derek Barnes contract right here. The base salary, look at that. Okay, 3 years, 21 million, right? Here's the cap number, 3.5 million, and then the cap number is 10 million, and then 10 million, right? Well, 18 million is guaranteed. They're going to do a signing bonus at $2.5 million. It doesn't count against the cap. Plus the guaranteed salary, which is around $4.5 million, $5 million. And you take these base salaries and you're able to do stuff with them. And it's a 2-year contract. Look at the way that it works. Look, here's your cap savings over here. If you were to cut them, and this is a negative. So, but you could actually save money in the third year if you were to cut him, and you could save $9 million worth of cap. So really, this is just a 2-year deal. It's a 2-year deal. And you got to pay the guaranteed money. And if you don't pay the guaranteed money, you pay it in dead cap. But people act like this is an $8 million a year contract. Oh, they're spending all their money. What are they going to do? They're spending all their money. For everybody that freaks out immediately after every single deal that they make, it's so funny listening to people overreact and then back off of their overreaction. Let's go ahead and look at the Zadarius Smith contract. When you look at that, why did you cut Zadarius Smith? Why are there people out there? And I say this, and you know what? I'm going to bring up this article thing here. Let me bring this thing in here, because this bothers me about some people here, and I don't normally call out other shows, but had a from the Crunch Time Sports. You got Derek Barnes, and you got gosh, I can't see the parts. And then you got Lucas on here, and Derek Barnes calls him out. He says, not butthurt, nothing personal. Like I said before, you're a solid linebacker. Derek Barnes calls him out, says, you sound butthurt, my guy. Maybe you should have come try out for the team. Don't believe it. It's a Super Bowl winning move. And he says, I'm not butthurt, nothing personal, but I said, I believe you're a solid linebacker in this league. And before the signing, I felt like it would be better for both parties for greener grass. Obviously, I'm not going to make the cut on any team, but I give my opinion. And one of the other things that he had said was other podcasters don't tell the truth. Other podcasters that are around always flip-flop. And it's like, listen, I get you. I get that you see that some other podcasters and that they flip-flop. I didn't flip-flop. I know that you're not talking about me, but the thing is you want to deflect. You want to deflect the fact that you got called out by a player. And that's probably what you wanted, was to get called out by the player so you can be, oh, look, I got under his skin. But really, you're criticizing a move from what Brad Holmes did 2021, developed a player, and then he paid that player. And you're mad that he didn't go out and get somebody completely brand new because your favorite guy or whoever you were looking at in free agency, they didn't sign him. Your prediction was incorrect, but instead of owning it and to tell people that, you know, you're the greatest in the world, you're the one that it tells the truth all the time. And it's like, the people that tell the truth all the time, when they say stuff like that, what it really means is that somebody disagreed with them, and that was your rebuttal to them disagreeing with you. Some people thought that re-signing Derek Barnes was a good move. And I wasn't even planning on coming on here and doing a touchdown dance over the whole deal. But when somebody calls you out because they worked their ass off for 4 years and then get an $8 million a year contract, that's shameful. And if you did it just for clicks, whatever. It's your job to hide behind social media and criticize player that bust their ass their whole life to get where they are. Don't ruin big moments for people, bud. It's not a good look. To me, it sounds like you're hating too. And you're too grown for that. You're Lion fans? Nah. Yeah, you want to hide behind the fact that you criticize every move that Brad Holmes has made, and now you want to act like you're the GM of the team. And when someone calls you out, you want to call out other podcasters out on their own. I don't have a Woodward Sports budget. I don't know what you guys had to do to get crunch time going, but some of us, other people out here are busting their asses too. So just own your comment. And you can own your comment without calling out the other podcasters. Yeah, we're not doing as good as you. You're on one of the big networks. Congratulations, right? That doesn't mean that other people aren't out here busting their asses. And it doesn't mean that they are just flip-flopping all the time like you say, because you're telling the truth and you're not flip-flopping. So there's that rant over. Let's see what you guys think about that. Right there. Rick C's in the house. Jason Smith in the house. Brad's time to play. Good morning.
You like that?
Good morning, Scott Harrison.
You like that?
Most fans see what one number and then they jump to conclusions. And NFL contracts are meant to be confusing. Oh, now I remember my other thing that I wanted to do here. It wasn't Zadarius Smith. The reason that they, just to tell you, the reason that they got rid of Zadarius Smith is exactly what I said in the contract. You can't keep that contract. You're not going to pay a $6 million roster bonus with all this guaranteed money when you want to upgrade the position. I mean, we got to get younger, right? Now we don't want to get younger. Now everybody, you want to talk about flip-flopping their takes. 2 weeks ago, we're talking about how this contract, you're not going to keep it. And then they cut it. And then you go, what do they do with Zadarius Smith? What are they going to do? Well, what they're doing is they got all of this money in cap that keeps going up. So far, everyone's freaking out about them spending all their money. And here's what's happened so far in this offseason for the Lions is they've made 2 moves to keep guys that, or I guess major player guys. Derek Barnes, and whatever you feel about Marcus Davenport, there's another one that people want to freak out about. I don't like the signing of Marcus Davenport. I didn't want him on a team. I'll be the first person to admit that. I didn't want him on a team. I'm not excited about that move. But here's what people see. Marcus Davenport signs a 1-year, $5 million deal. What are the Lions doing? I don't like Marcus Davenport. If Marcus Davenport is the number 2 pass rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson going into the year, let's have a different conversation. But if Marcus Davenport is player and they sign him to a $1.3 million with a $2 million cap hit, not even $2 million, you're talking about a per game roster bonus. You give him an opportunity to make more money. So here's the real contract. Marcus Davenport signs a 1-year, $2.5 million contract with the Lions, 1.565 guaranteed. An additional $2 million in incentives are available. But is that what people report? No, they don't report that. They report that it was a $5 million deal. They point to the number after all the incentives have been met. Let me ask you something. Davenport isn't going to play 17 games, but if he did play 17 games next year, would you have a problem paying him $5 million if he's not injured? And if your answer is no, then what are we talking about here? You paid $2 million for a pass rusher. I've seen 2 pass rushers go for $35 and $40 million this offseason. Now, if he's the second pass rusher, then like I said, let's have a different conversation when we get into training camp. But until then, STFU, shut up about the contract. Oh, I don't want Marcus Davenport. Well, Marcus Davenport at that contract isn't even guaranteed to be on the roster. What, are you afraid to eat $1.7 million if you have to cut him if he sucks? So don't tell me about zero risk moves. None. No risk. No risk there. Not even a risk to make the team. So what I want to see out of Marcus Davenport is for him to be the number 6 defensive end when this is all said and done. Like, he make the back end of the roster. He's sitting on the back end and he comes in on a rotation, maybe plays 3 or 4 snaps a game. That's what I want to see. But like I said, I didn't like the Marcus Davenport signing. I wish they could have just went around, just not did it. I mean, you got some point to prove. That's fine. And the thing is where the contract is, it shows how good Brad Holmes is, because he's not gonna pay $14 million like the Minnesota Vikings did last year. And even last year's Davenport contract, Minnesota paid more for the Lions contract for Davenport last year than the Lions did. So Broski's in here again. Seems like Brad is cooking with the dollar store can of pork and beans that's past the expiration date. Why would you say that, Broski? Because they signed Davenport? See, this is the overreaction that I'm talking about right here. They make a move and then all of a sudden everybody reacts to it like as if the story's over. He doesn't cook with pork and beans. He made one signing that was of the dollar store variety. But if you look at the cap space here, let's really look at this, guys. The cap space has went up. The Lions have made, they're spending all their money. They're not spending their money. They've gained money. With the moves that they've made, they went up. They re-signed Derek Barnes to a 3-year deal, re-signed Anthony Pittman and Ezekiel Turner. They made a cut, and now they have more money. They've gained $1 million in cap space from the moves that they've made. Now, Broski may be right. Brad may stay in the Dollar General store, but I don't see how he can do that, because the cap is about to go up by over $20 million when the new money rolls over from last year at the beginning of the new league year. So they're going to spend this money. And there's still moves to be made on the roster of guys that I don't think are going to make it through. So this is going to be the most incomplete show of the week, because there's just more moves to be made. All these teams are going to be making moves, and they're going to do their thing. So let's go in. Let's have a little bit of fun right here. Let's see where everybody's at in the comments. Good morning, Mr. Wayne. Jason Smith in the house. Davies, Brad's time to play. Good morning. Good morning, Carl. See, here's another overreaction by Carl. This proves that Brad Holmes sucks at free agency, period. Okay. Rick, they signed Davenport and they need a cornerback big time. They should let They should let CD walk. He misses games and is very average. Brad Holmes needs to get creative to address cornerback. No, they just need to sign a cornerback, broski. He doesn't need to be creative. And here's the funniest thing. Let's put this into perspective right here. Carl says that this proves that Brad Holmes sucks at free agency. So here, this is Lion Fan here. Is this really Lion Fan? Tell me you're not a Lion fan, Carl. You're really not judging this free agency that opens, that isn't official. The tampering period doesn't even officially open for another hour and a half. But yet, his whole free agency sucks. And what he's done was got rid of a bad contract in Za'Darius Smith. And they didn't sign two players that aren't available for trade. So this is what Lion Fan does. Lion Fan goes out and it's funny. It's like these type of Lion fans, the ones that say, it's already a shitty. He sounds more like Broski. That's more like a Broski thing. I expect it from Broski. He's not a fan of the team. But I guess that's what's out there, though. When you got guys like on crunch time who do nothing but criticize every single pick that the Lions do. They don't like any moves. They criticize the Lions for trying to make moves that weren't possible to make now, you've known. The Lions are so stupid that they won't. I mean, you're going to tell me that the Lions are dumb for not making a move that wasn't even possible to make. I fell for it. I want to play for a contender. Hi, guys. I want to play for a contender. My name is Goofy Myles Garrett. I want to play for a contender. I guess the contender is 40 million Benjamins a year. I want to play for a contender. And our lie detector test determined that was a lie. That was a lie. He didn't want to play for a contender. He just wanted a bag. How disappointing. As the entire NFL takes a sigh of relief of thinking of Myles Garrett teaming up with anybody that was noteworthy. I don't know, man. I got excited about this. I got excited about Goofy Myles Garrett. He not only is he a future Hall of Famer, but the best defensive player in the league. But now he's paid. Yeah, I never. You think I'm calling him Goofy because of his play? I'm gonna call you Goofy now, broski. I'm gonna rip on you. You think I'm ripping on Myles Garrett's play? Are you that stupid, broski? You're not that stupid, are you, broski? I'm not. It's funny. This is funny. Like it's like I come on here and I do a good bit on Myles Garrett, and then broski being as stupid as he could possibly be, says that I'm ripping on Myles Garrett's play. Oh, Russ, you're ripping Myles Garrett when the crusty Lions signed Davenport, and the two things have nothing to do with each other. What's goofy? What do you think I'm saying is goofy? I want to play for a contender. What's goofy? What's goofy? Me calling him out for lying to people? So what you're saying is now Broski thinks that the Cleveland Browns are a contender. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Broski? Since we're just misunderstanding each other. Myles Garrett wants to play for the contender Cleveland Browns. I'm going to make a statement in the offseason that says that I want to be traded to a contender. And I'm going to sit out games. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to stand my ground until someone offers me $40 million. And then I don't mind being 3-14 anymore. I'll play for a team. Yeah, he's the greatest defensive player ever. He is. And that's why the entire NFL has taken a sigh of relief knowing that Myles Garrett isn't going to go to a contender. He's going to play for the shitty Browns, and nobody has to worry about the best defensive player of the year not winning a Super Bowl. And I believe that Myles Garrett is good enough to take that team to the playoffs by himself. So when I call him goofy, I'm calling him goofy to not want to. Why wouldn't you want a championship? Why wouldn't you want a championship? That's why he's goofy. Has nothing to do with his play. Hey, Broski, how do you like overpaying for offensive linemen? That ain't very good. I bet you're feeling pretty good. Are you feeling pretty good about your offseason? The Lions window is just beginning to open. The Brad Holmes has drafted players. You want to talk about you want to know why he's bargain bin Brad in free agency is because the players that he's paying are the players that he drafted. And you're not paying big money for players outside of the organization because you want to pay for the players that you drafted that are good, that are at the top 5 of their position. You know what you'll never get a chance to do, Broski? Is you'll never get a chance to have Penei Sewell because you didn't draft him. Well, Sarah says, LOL, is this the Broski show? Is Broski going to be the only one that answers questions or makes comments about the things I'm talking about? Mark says that LOL, Browns are as much of a contender as the Lions. Listen to yourself, Broski. You make absolutely no sense whatsoever. He doesn't. But you're right. I am done talking about what Broski is because Broski doesn't listen, and Sarah obviously doesn't listen either. They just came here to rile me up and to get me to do what I did. That's fun. That's fun. I like getting riled up for people. But I wanted to get into the free agency stuff here. What we could do with the 55 or 53, 50, almost $53 million that the Lions have in cap right here. And what do you think that they should do? I mean, I don't I've already went through my mock off season, and there was really only one player outside of who the Lions drafted that I had them even bringing in. Now, I did have them re-signing Carlton Davis, so maybe we can start there. In the cornerback room, it's like, what would you do? What do you want to do at cornerback? So if you can't re-sign Carlton Davis, then who do you go get? Because it sounds to me like the Lions had about 12 to $15 million available for the cornerback position. So here's what's available in free agency. You got DJ Reed, Charvarius Ward, Rasul Douglas, Byron Murphy Jr., Carlton Davis, Asante Samuel, Mike Hilton, Stephon Gilmore, Jonathan Jones, Nate Hobbs, Paulson Adebo, Brandon Stevens, Christian Fulton, Isaiah Rodgers, Donta Jackson, Jordan Lewis, Michael Jackson, Shaquille Griffin, Eric Stokes. That was a first-round pick bust right there. Noah. Yeah, try that. Darius Slay, 241st ranked. Donna Jackson. Yeah. So that's what's available via PFF. Right there, that's what's available. Which one of those cornerbacks would you like, Sarah? What cornerback would you like, broski, for your team? Lion fans, what cornerbacks would you like for your team? If we don't get if we don't get Carlton Davis to re-sign, which it doesn't look like it. It looks like he's going for the giant bag. But I do like DJ Reed. I'm sorry. I'm not doing good at my producing and talking at the same time today. There we go. Yeah, I like DJ Reed. I like the idea of a Charvarius Ward. If you're going to spend 12, 15, which one of those guys do you think would come in, for a little bit under that? Or do you think they all go get max contracts right here and the Lions are left out in the dark? But to the point of the bargain store, going to get the stuff, I do think they are going to have to pay somebody, with all of that money. I can't see Brad Holmes just not paying players. Chance says that give me Reed, let Davis walk. That's a popular one that's out there. Broski says, please re-sign Carlton Davis. I don't know why you would want that. Carlton Davis is the best cornerback that's on this market this year. He's better than DJ Reed. He's better than Steve says that Lawrence Taylor is the best defensive player of all time, not Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett can make the case. That's how good Myles Garrett is. I'm not scared to put Myles Garrett's there with Lawrence Taylor, but he ain't gonna get the title now like Lawrence Taylor because he decided that he wanted the money. Some team, like not everybody plays for the money. I mean, eventually at some point in time they play. For, you know, they do play for the money, but at some point in time, some of the players will give you the hometown discount or the discount to try to win a title. They do that. And Lawrence Taylor and Myles Garrett, when you look back at the career after Myles Garrett's gone out of the league, they will put Myles Garrett there with Lawrence Taylor. In that, not better. Like, to me, I don't think that there's like the GOAT, right? I mean, so many people are like, who's the greatest quarterback of all time? It's Aaron Rodgers. No, it's Tom Brady. No, it's Bart Starr. You know what? I think you reach a level to where you're able to walk through a room, right? You go into a room and then there's Joe Montana, there's Dan Marino, there's, you know, eventually you just walk into greatness, right? The greatest of all time. I mean, that's year to year, right? Year to year it goes. You know, you could put Michael Jordan there. You know, you put Tom Brady there. I get that, right? But to me, like the Hall of Fame is, right? If you can walk into that room and just be in that room, just be in the room. It don't matter. It don't matter if Tom Brady's greater or less than Joe Montana. This is just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe you do need to make lists of the greatest. You know, yeah, he's great, but is he really the greatest? Okay. You know what? Tom Brady and Joe Montana are great. You know, Myles Garrett and Lawrence Taylor are great. Myles Garrett can walk into that room with Lawrence Taylor and stand there and be there. And no one's going to say, Myles, you get out of here. You don't deserve to be in this room. No. Myles Garrett deserves to be in that room. Any significant changes? Bears are 5 deep at cornerback. There you go. Okay, cool. So the Bears aren't even looking for cornerbacks. What about you, Sarah? What about you, Steve? Who are your dream cornerbacks? Because we need one. The Lions need one. And then they need depth pieces after that. But they need one dude, right? Go. Detroit, the bad guy, says, yeah, he wanted that money. Winning, dirty liar. I don't know if he's a dirty liar. I don't call it dirty. I don't think he's a dirty liar. But, you know, when I call him goofy, I think it's goofy for him to make a decision to play for the Browns. Has nothing to do with him being goofy for the way that he plays, because he's a dominator. He's the best defender in the league. And unfortunately, we don't get to see him play with anybody that matters. According to reports, the Eagles are closing in on Khalil Mack. Sheesh. They better. The Eagles sold their years of 2027, 28, and 29 to compete for 24, 25, and 26. They will not compete in those later. You can't take your entire quarterback salary, where you're trying to pay these people $55 million a year, you kick that can down the road. They have no room on any of their contracts in Philly. If they get out of it, I'll stand corrected. But I wasn't wrong on New Orleans. I wasn't wrong on the Chargers. You know, the cap is real. It just happens probably 2-3 years later than you think that it does. John Dorn. Lions are waiting for the Packers to release Alexander. Yes. Hot off the injury press. What is he, injury prone? Let's get him. Let's get him and offer him a discounted contract. I ain't going to hide around that. I don't know what to say on that. So far, that's what Brad Holmes has done. Brad Holmes has gotten the injured players. But when you look at the injured player, like I said, if Davenport is the only defensive end signing that we have and we're going into training camp, we're going to have a different conversation. I don't like the Davenport signing. I don't like it. I don't even like it with the deal, at a minimum deal. The only way that I can tolerate the Davenport signing is if there is enough players that get brought in that pushes Davenport all the way down the depth chart to where he's the last line of defense. Or even better yet, so much talent is brought in that he's pushed right off the team. Now, the contract reflects that. You know, he's bargain bin Brad, right? He's not bargain bin Brad because, you know, bargain bin Brad is getting ripped off. Bargain bin Brad don't get ripped off. Bargain bin Brad gets players for their base salary. I mean, you basically got Davenport for the league minimum. Like I said, I still don't like it. I still don't like the signing, but it's not like, it's like they signed him like the Ezekiel Turner signing, where, you know, a special teamer, veteran minimum type of player. So I'm gonna rip the Eagles. Why wouldn't I rip the Eagles? I'm just telling you what I see. I'm telling you what I see. And if you pay attention, which you usually don't, you just make comments and you're not even listening to the order of operation of what I do in here. But I'll do it for you again, broski. I'm not even really ripping the Eagles. I'm just being realistic to what they're doing. I mean, you tell me. I mean, I know I've been studying this stuff long enough to know what a healthy salary cap looks like, right? And this is great. Like, when you talk about the Eagles, look at all these base salaries over here at one point. So when I say these things, broski, I'm not really even ripping the Eagles. I'm just bringing a point to everybody in the differences of what's going on here. So, and I'll ask you a question afterwards when it comes to this, because these all look, oh yeah, look, the Eagles can just get everybody, right? Why don't my team do that? Why doesn't my team do that? See all those base salaries? That means there's no room in any of those contracts. Look, in 2026, no room in any of those contracts. As a matter of fact, you got void contracts here, right? James Bradbury's not on your team anymore. You can't cut these guys like that. You got a cap number. 2029. Cap number. Voided year. Look at this. Look at this. Broski, look at this. This is 2029 for them. Now, this doesn't matter anymore, right? You're not going to have Jalen Hurts on your team. And this number right here to the right side, these are all the numbers that you cannot get out of. You can't kick this can down the road. You can't kick that can down the road. You can't kick that can down the road. You can't kick that can down the road. So, and the question is, and this is a real question right here, because you may think that I'm ripping Philadelphia, but I want to know. I want to know if you're willing to just sell. I mean, the Lions have never won anything. So if a Lion fan wants to sell all of the future for the chance of winning a Super Bowl, and then like you're putting, you're sacrificing the future, because I promise you, broski, the Eagles will not win the Super Bowl in 28, 29, and 30. And maybe, I don't even know how long that goes, because the cap doesn't go that far ahead. But they've sold their future for the win now. So I want to ask you out there, Lion fan, Bear fan, Packer fan, would you sell a guaranteed 3-year window, if not maybe 5-year window, to bring in all these players right now and win one Super Bowl? I mean, I get all in, man. And the thing is like you're selling it down. And the thing is, like, if you win, then, you know, I mean, I really got nothing to say. This is why Broski's coming at me. Stick with the dollar store Brad mentality. That will get you nowhere. But here's what people do. It's like, oh, well, the Eagles just won the Super Bowl, so obviously that works, so everybody should do that, right? And then they'll say stuff like, well, with the exception of Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, that works. Selling your future. And listen to yourself when you say that. The examples of Super Bowl winners, of people who were cap conscious, you got Patrick Mahomes with 3 Super Bowls and Tom Brady with 7 Super Bowls. Which way works better, broski? Because you're throwing a lot of which way works better? Because it worked for the Eagles last year. It didn't work for the Eagles the prior year before that. It didn't, because it worked for Patrick Mahomes, a team with a fluid salary cap, won the Super Bowl, like what Brad Holmes is doing. The team that signs their own players, that doesn't go into free agency and spend lots of money, like Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots for 20 years. That's a fluid salary cap. So, what works better? The fluid salary cap, which brings you consistent Super Bowls, which brings you consistent success, or Do you sell it all in? Do you go all in like the Rams did? All in on 1 year where you're not going to do it again immediately. So, just a question. I'm not missing anything. It sounds to me like you guys are giving me a hard time for asking you a question that you don't want to answer. Nobody wants to answer the question. Doesn't matter if the Lions have won a Super Bowl or not. I'm talking about a fundamental thing that has nothing to do with the Lions. Because you're telling me that, you know, that this Philadelphia way is the way to do it. And they're the Super Bowl. They're in the Super Bowl every year. And I'm telling you that there's both ways that work. So, and the Eagles were not a contender every year. They had to rebuild their culture. And they built this in here. So what you're saying is that you've answered every question fundamentally, and so you are on the side of Howie Roseman and selling it forward. Because since 2018, Howie Roseman has been kicking the can down the street with all these different players. And he's gotten 2 Super Bowls out of it. So I can't really argue with it because that part does work. But building a sound salary cap and not overpaying for free agencies, guys outside of your own organization, which lens right here is how much will Hutchinson's contract cost? Probably cost $40 million a year. But for everybody calling Bargain Basement Brad don't realize that Bargain Basement Brad is going to pay $28 million a year for his left tackle or right tackle. He's going to pay his wide receiver that he drafted $28 million a year. He's going to pay his edge rusher, like Dorn says right here, $40 million a year. So, Broski, John, or whoever else is going to question me about why Brad Holmes is Bargain Basement Brad, it's because he wants to pay Hutchinson. So, kicking the can down the road and winning Super Bowls, the Eagles are in a groove. They aren't going away next season. They're not. The Eagles have bought and paid for these next 2 seasons for sure. Their window is the widest open that it's going to be. They will compete. They will be right in the mix for the Super Bowl. I mean, I am not... God, you guys misunderstand me. I ask a question. There you go. Thank you, Troy. There's Troy. Troy answered the question. God bless you, Troy. We got one smart guy on the entire broadcast today that isn't just trolling me and actually answered the question. And I'm not Brad Holmes, but would I mortgage the future for a Super Bowl? You're damn right I would. Damn right I would. I'd mortgage the future. Give me some draft picks. Here's some draft picks. So thank you. Thank you for answering the question, Troy. Mark, okay, now we're getting him in there. Now we're getting him in there. I do wish Holmes would take a few chances with signings once in a while. So now we can hope that this would happen. Central Scrutinizer says I prefer the 5-year plan to the 1-year plan. So here we are going into year 5. Chance says that he'd sell it. Yup. Rick says that he's not trolling. Rick, you're awesome. You're awesome. I try. Sometimes you guys get me a little bit tizzied when you take me off topic a little bit right here, but that's what I really wanted right there. Because there are really 2 different ways that you can do it. I'm just saying that the consistent not taking as many chances way has, and it's a lot harder to do. There's only been a couple of teams that really do it, which would be the Chiefs and the New England Patriots. The Chiefs, a little bit different than the Patriots. The Chiefs would take more chances on the end of, like, right when the player gets to the end. You know, they sell a Tyreek Hill to another team, but for the most part, they're trying to pay their own players. You know, they're trying to get the guys drafted, develop them, and then they're paying their own players. So that works. Obviously, it works. It works for Kansas City. It worked for New England. And when a team really has that thing going on, you know, but it looks weird. What happens is, you know, us prognosticators here in the middle of the season, when New England does something like, you know, trades their star pass rusher at the end of his rookie deal and then picks in the draft, it's not something that's sexy, doesn't look great from the outside. Us guys here talking about, oh, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they let this guy go. And the thing is like, you can't continue to pay those guys like that. You got to be able to move the can. Now, the Lions are going to have to do that too. Starting next year, they're going to have to figure out which cans to kick down the road. It's like the Lions have it. They had a chance to go in and start doing that last year. And this is what we're talking about right here is, you know, do you take the big chance? Do you sell the future to win now? Well, the Lions weren't in that position last year because you're still building foundation. You're still, I need depth. You don't, if you take chances like that before you have everything filled, then you're creating holes to bring these guys in. I do think that Brad would take a big chance, and I think he will take a big chance. If not this year, in the future. But you have to build that fluid, nice. We got a nice array of really cheap players that can play. That, you know, they're not all stars, but they're good depth. And we got to see that last year a little bit because we got so injured. The guys that came in, you know, they still were able to win 15 games, even though they had 21 guys on IR. So what Brad Holmes is doing, you can point to some parts of the success of bringing in some of these injured players because some of those things worked out. You just had too many of them. So you keep building it like that, and we'll see. Like I said, they got $51 million in cap right now. So let me see. I'm going to go in here before I take off on out of here and see if we got anything brand spanking new. Free agency. I don't see anything on here. I may end up coming on here a couple extra times this week, especially with what they got going on. I think it's a great conversation, guys. Honestly, you guys can make fun of me all you want. You guys can make fun of me all you want about, trying to criticize the Super Bowl winning team. But I showed you why. And I'm not even trolling. I'm not trying to troll the Super Bowl winning teams. I'm just showing you something that is there. Like if you knew that if the Lions had $98 million worth of cap hit, because I mean, shoot, the Lion fans freak out about the $69 million cap hit that's going to come for Jared Goff next year. They freak out about that, and he's going to be on the team. The Philadelphia Eagles got something on the horizon where $98 million is going to count against their cap and dead cap, and there's not going to be a player there. That dead cap is there, even if they restructure the contract. There's no restructure of it because it's a void year. That's the downfall to void years. Any of that money that is in that dead cap spot on that void year. I mean, whatever. I mean, if you think they're going to be able to operate and do just fine, that's fine. I guess, they're going to be $150 million of dead cap to start their season, and they won't have any players to show for it. The Lions did it in 2021. It didn't really work out all that good. Mark says the Lions need a couple big player signings on defense. Take us over the top. Super Bowl. Make it happen. I don't think that the Lions are ready to change course of season. Maybe 2026. That's how I see it. That's what Central Scrutinizer says. Yeah, it's gonna be harder to do it next year, Central. Because they have that's where all the big caps hitting. But this is the Line Villain Report. The free agency tampering starts in an hour. Broadcasting live right now. Go give us a follow over at the Villain Squad Facebook page or the Villain Squad YouTube page. If you're on there, give me a like. The UDFA, we're out here working hard. We're out here working hard. Changing courses. Lions free agency is here. Legal tampering period. I want to thank everybody for listening today. I'm just a hack. Nobody listens to me anyway. But I have fun. I have fun right here. I work hard putting all this stuff together. Thank you to the Detroit Lions News Podcast. It's faith, family, and then football in that order. We use football, spend time with our family, create memories. We don't let football use us. Thank you, everybody, for hopping on here today. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. And if we make some big signings that might be here today at some point in time, I'll let you know. But thank you, everybody, for listening. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys when I see you.
Yo, the lies so that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, canvas open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like licensing was popping in like oxygen when boxes wet. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we winning it, maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that pay me, it's never to sway me. Indigenous, maybe we winning, it's crazy.